Anytime anybody sits down to have a quote-unquote cheat meal, you have to sit there going, I'm not allowed anything, as you sip on your water. Simon the Bodyho here, thank you for joining me as always, and I tell you, as soon as you start lifting weights, as soon as you want to be a bodybuilder, all of a sudden you are going to get a bunch of nonsense thrown your way, even if you do not get in the way of the nonsense. It's like some kind of nonsense cannon. You'll be walking along and just smacks you right in the face. So we must fight against these things. So that's right, today we are talking about 10 bodybuilding, weightlifting, gym myths that need to go away forever. Number 10, you have to sacrifice family meals. Now you hear about this all the time, constantly. It's like, oh my gosh, if you are going to train to be a bodybuilder and get in super duper shape, you can never go to a birthday, you can never go to a Christmas. Anytime anybody sits down to have a quote unquote cheat meal, you have to sit there going, I'm not allowed anything, as you sip on your water. Now of course there is sacrifice, and of course there is dedication, and of course you have to be disciplined. But there's a magical thing that you can eat when you go to a restaurant, and it's called a salad. And you can say to the waiter or the waitress, hey, I'd love one of these salads, but can I have it without dressing? And they'll go, of course you can, my man or my lady or my friend or my pal. And you go, oh, thank you so much. And a bunch of leaves turns up. You are able to eat the leaves. Now, of course, it's completely different if you're an athlete and you're training for a super duper competition. You're a bodybuilder about to go on stage and flex, but that is a very specific situation. And when it comes to the meal out, it just gets applied to everything. As soon as you go to the gym and as soon as you start to be dedicated and as soon as you take on your diet, apparently you have to miss birthdays and you have to, we've done that, I'm not going to go through it again, but you have to tell everyone you love, screw you, you mean nothing to me anymore. It's not true. It just isn't. There are things on a menu that you can chow down on, and on the off chance that there's not, you can just sit there and it's okay. I think about this all the time. If I sat down to eat a pizza on my specific cheat day and I was with somebody else who was also following a diet and they said, I'm not eating today because of X, Y, and Z, I'd be like, okay, cool, but isn't it nice that we can still catch up? And I hear this all the time, and I just want to tell you, it is stupid. And number 9 is you have to get up at 4 a.m. And I know I've talked about this before, lovely people that watch my channel all the time, but I saw it again on Instagram yesterday. So it's like, right, I've got to rant about it again. It's the classic one. You see it all the time. You're just flicking away, and because you're into fitness content, it will pop up, and it says, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. today. What's your excuse? And your excuse can be, well, I didn't have to get up at that time, because getting up at 6:30 or 7 or whatever it may be left me with enough space to get all my stuff in. That's okay. You're not a worse bodybuilder or a worse weightlifter or a worse gym goer than somebody that doesn't do this. Where this started from was, if you are struggling to get your session in, meaning you need to get up earlier, yes, that's what you're going to have to do. Arnold Schwarzenegger made the best argument for this when he said, right, you know what I mean? You can't find time to have a workout. There's 24 hours in a day. Just get up 1 hour earlier. That doesn't mean 4:30. You may have been getting up at 9 a.m. so you can get up at 8 a.m. And we can do this all day long. It is just maths. It has nothing to do with the time that you wake up. And in fact, sometimes getting that extra hour of sleep will be more beneficial for you in order to recover, because when you're recovering, that is essentially when all the good stuff is happening. So if anyone ever tells you this, you have my permission to spit in their face. Don't spit in their face. That would be absolutely disgusting, and 2 wrongs do not make a right. But mentally, you can think about hocking a loogie. I've lost this one. I've gone off the rails. And number 8 is you can never do anything but lift. Honestly, people say this to you all the time. Oh, you must be in the gym all the time. No. I go for maybe 1 to 2 hours a few times a week, sometimes 5 times a week, sometimes 3 times a week, sometimes 6 days a week. It all depends on what's happening within that 7-day process. Now, I like video games. I'm a huge fan of video games. And when I sit down to play a video game, I'm going to invest some quality time into it. So why do people never go up to people that play? Well, they probably do, to be fair. But it's the same kind of thing. Everybody has recreational activities. And if you decide, you know what, I want to take my recreation time, I want to take my me time, and you want to dedicate it to the gym, that's what you do. But you can still get other stuff in. Otherwise, nobody would be playing games. Nobody would go and do 5-a-side football. Nobody would go mountain climbing. Nobody would go to boxing class. You would just work all of the time. I don't get this one. I don't get it at all. All you have to do is plan. It's like a time budget. You sit down, I'm going to work from 9 to 5, I'm going to eat at this time, and I'm going to go to the gym at this time. And you just do it. It's like Nike. You just do it. It doesn't mean all of a sudden you're lifting all the time like it's some kind of chore. Lifting is meant to be fun. Number 7 is you'll never get big doing this exercise. And then somebody picks a random exercise. Or I guess more to the point, it'd be you'll never get big without doing this exercise. And they'll just pick a random exercise. It's bollocks. It's about intensity. Of course, you want to make sure that you're doing multiple exercises because then you can hit, muscles from different angles, and that's going to benefit you. But ultimately, if you want a big biceps, right, and you just did bicep curls all the time, you did nothing else, barbell bicep curls over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, if you're super duper intense, and I'm talking about bringing the intensity of a mythological queen, I have no idea what I'm talking about, you are going to see growth. And you're going to get bigger. The big one, I suppose, is you've got to do squats or you're not going to get big. Squats are a great muscle builder. They're a great overall exercise, and you should be doing them. But if you don't want to do them, just don't do them. What's going to happen? Mr. Squat is going to knock on your door and have a go at you. If that does happen, make sure you bring him in, sit him down, and offer him some kind of talent deal because you're about to make a lot of money. There are no rules in the gym outside of the obvious ones. Go in there, make sure you're having a good time, make sure you're working hard, make sure you're being intense. And if on that day you don't want to do lunges, you don't want to do squats, you don't want to do barbell curls, maybe that's not for you, just don't do it. I'm sick and tired of all this gatekeeping. Oh, you're not a real bodybuilder unless you're doing compound movements. Compound movements are going to allow you to build a great base. But if you would rather headbutt a wall, you have my permission. Apparently, I'm King Jim to just not do them and do whatever the flub you want. Number 6 is an interesting one. Nobody else will ever understand. What? It's not algebra. It's not rocket science. What do you mean they don't understand? They may not be on the same page of you when it comes to your passion, but that's not exclusive to the gym. If somebody comes and tells me, Simon, I love Tiddlywinks. Tiddlywinks is my favorite game ever. I can appreciate the fact that they found something that brings them so much joy, but I don't necessarily understand it on a one-to-one level. I don't get this. I read it in an article the other day. It's the article that inspired this list. I won't call them out because I don't think it's fair. But it's all like, oh man, are you ready for a world of confusion? And people are like, I don't know why you want to do that. Yes, but that's not, again, it's not exclusive to the gym. It's everything. Some people are into muscle cars. Some people, and look, these are creepy people, just like staring at others. Now, I wouldn't necessarily get on board with that one because like you're making other people uncomfortable. And anything you're doing that is making a innocent bystander uncomfortable, you shouldn't be doing because that's not fair. But we all have quirks and we all have interests and we're all going to be different to one another. And that's what makes the human race in the world so brilliant. When people go, oh man, you're in for such a hard time, like some of the people aren't going to understand. They're not going to understand if I walk up to them and go, because I'm just making up gibberish with my mouth. But if I go, I like going to the gym because I like how it makes me feel, and I like the fallout from it, I like the results, I like the progress. If they're genuinely confused, they may be stupid. And number 5 is the food will bankrupt you. This is true to a point because you do have to eat a lot of food when it comes to bodybuilding. But recently, keep an eye out for this video, I've hired a personal trainer and I've kind of gone back to basics bodybuilding. So a lot of rice and chicken, blah, blah, blah. It's what I wanted to do. You don't have to do that. It's my choice. It's what I wanted to do. And actually, I'm saving a hell of a lot of money on my food bill because when you are eating rice, potato, chicken, I mean, not meat necessarily, but you are eating the basic food groups that aren't branded. So I get Asda's own because Asda is a cheap supermarket. And that works for me. Again, my shopping bill went down. Now, budgeting is always going to be hard, especially in the climate that we're all living in. And all of a sudden, if you started doing it, you've got to double your food. You're like, oh my gosh. But there is always a way. And it certainly shouldn't be the tipping point from stopping you trying to get in shape. There really are so many things you can do. Like you can buy, big bags of pasta and big bags of rice in bulk and they won't cost you that much. It's the meat and the protein that is really going to kick your ass. But if you are super sensible with it and you actually do a bit of pre-planning, you can get away with it. Because again, I had one kind of a diet, I switched it to a more bodybuilding kind of a diet, and my actual money for my shopping went down. So this is obviously going to be different depending on the part of the world you're in, but don't let it scare you off is what I'm trying to say, because you do see a few comments on YouTube videos, Instagram and social media going, oh, I'd never be able to afford that. And of course it depends on your certain situation, but there's definitely a way to do it instead of going, bop, I quit. Number 4 is it's not worth it. This ties into the other entry when people say this to you, it's not worth it. For who? You or me? Because the last time I checked, I'm me and you, so why would you care about my worth? This happened to me years ago. I got into bodybuilding and lifting weights quite young, so 16, 17. I won't say her name, but I remember her name perfectly. We were at some kind of party where I wasn't drinking. I mean, I gave up drinking when I was 18, and a huge reason for that was because going to the gym, and I was like, I think I prefer this, and I'd rather dedicate myself there. And she went, I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. And I think one day, 20 years down the line, you're going to regret it. She was completely wrong. She completely missed with that one, because here we are down the line, and I think I love it now, and I love my choices even more than I did back then. So I look back and I'm like, well, hey, we absolutely smashed it. But you do get this all the time, oh, it's not worth it. What do you mean worth? Like if you brought me I don't know, the most expensive handbag ever. I'd be like, that wasn't worth it because I don't have an affiliation with this, but I love lifting weights. And once again, this just comes down to the individual. But you still hear people saying, like, I don't want to go to the gym and eat, it's not worth it. You're a fool. No. There's no fools here. There's no jesters. I'm living my life and you are living your life. Let's just get on with it. And who cares what happens? If one day I get to, let's say, 57, and at 57 I decide I don't want to do this anymore, it doesn't mean the past however long hasn't been worth it. It just means it's built to the occasion where I finally decide to draw a line under it. It's like when you break up from a partner in a relationship. Don't go, oh, it was so much wasted time. No, it wasn't. You learned about yourself, you learned about other people, and you'll come out the other side feeling stronger than ever. It's actually quite a good gym analogy. And number 3 is bodybuilders is stupid. And of course, that was a joke. If you get it, great. If you don't get it, you're probably tying into the stereotype. It's just ridiculous. You can go to the gym and want to be a big jacked person, but also be happy to sit down and read a book about, I don't know, the ideology of 1976. That didn't make any sense. I just made up a pile of absolute crap there. Why was that ever a thing? Meathead, right? Oh, he's so big and bulky, therefore he can't possibly use his brain. You didn't use your brain, you die. Number 2 is one we get all the time, and that is it's all about steroids. And actually in 2022, this one may actually be even more pertinent, because I think steroid use in 2022 is far more than it was in the past. But we've kind of had this dual effect, because while it is more common, or at least more out there in the open, there are also the same amount of people saying, hey, wait a minute, make sure you do your research here and don't go absolutely crazy. And I suppose it's actually better, you know, being in this kind of environment, because when it's not talked about, more things can slip through the cracks, whereas when everybody is talking about it, you will get the balance of people going, that's good, that's not so good, make sure you do this, make sure you don't do that. But of course, it's not all about steroids. Steroids are there if you want to do them. Do I recommend them? No, I absolutely don't, but I'm not your dad, so I don't get the right to say anything otherwise. But to diminish people's hard works, I'm not talking about the obvious folk, I'm talking about the other people, and to diminish people's hard work and just say, oh, well, they injected a bunch of drugs, isn't fair, because even if you do that, you still do have to bust your ass, and you have to have your diet right, and you have to have the intensity, and you have to have the effort. And of course you're going to be a bit upset if somebody just tries to poo-poo and throw you off onto the side because they assume you're doing something that you're not doing, especially because even if you were doing it, you would still need all of these traits. So we got to the end of the video, so there's 2 words to sum them up. Fuck them. And at number 1 is what will always crack me up. Protein will kill you. There are still articles out there today in the modern world on the internet saying if you eat too much protein, it will kill you. That's the same for anything. If you drink too much water, it will kill you. Now, a lot of this comes down to the fact they say, oh my gosh, the pressure on your kidneys. Oh, the pressure on your kidneys. It's going to absolutely ruin you. But of course, a lot of that protein you are consuming isn't going to your kidneys. It's going to your muscle, because you should be eating more protein in conjunction with a good training routine. But we don't even need to go that specific with it. Let's keep it simple. If you increase your protein and all of a sudden your health is suffering, and you should go to your doctor and get it checked out, and they say, hey man, your kidneys can't put up with this, stop eating the protein. That's it. So it's of course, if it's a negative, because you don't want anything bad to happen to any of your organs, but this is like, if you trip up and you break your leg, the doctor will say, stop using your leg. And it's the same with this. Some people just have a bad lot in life, and it does suck, and it's not fair, but you'll still be able to find that balancing point where you can eat probably more protein than you would do otherwise without having some kind of ill benefits on the other side. So ignore all of this shit. That's right. That's what happens now. We get to the end of the video and we just drop swear words, because all it's going to do is convince you that you don't want to lift weights. And it's very base. All you need to do is eat well and go to the gym. That is it. Don't overthink it. Make sure you're enjoying yourself. And eventually, be it in 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever, you will start seeing results. And then you're going to feel like a happy panda. Now, please do leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the bell, ding ding, so when other videos are going live, there will be a video on the screen. Please do give it a click. Otherwise, grillermind.com/Simon. These are supplements I use, and they're very good. And if you use code Simon, you get 10% off. Patreon.com/Simon316 for exclusive reaction videos. A bunch are going up now, so thanks for the support in Greg Doucette's Power 13 Cookbook. On Instagram at Simon316 and on Twitter at Simon316, basically social media. SimonMiller.BigCartel.com. But more important than all of that, you have a great day. See you soon.